If you've got a seizuring dog or cat, can you be using medical marijuana or cannabinoids? Find out in this video. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. If you've yet to do so, I'd love for you to click up there to subscribe. And then if you've yet to do so, I'd love for you to sign up for my newsletter. You can do that by clicking the link further in the box below. If you have a seizuring dog or cat, you should be considering cannabinoids as a form of treatment. The most common cause of seizures in our dogs is called epilepsy. Typically, it would occur somewhere between the ages of 1 to 6, 1 to 7. Generally, and we can even see it as early as 6 months. Our cats can also get seizure disorders, maybe something like epilepsy. Regardless, we're often left, whether it's a dog or a cat, we're often left with just a few conventional veterinary treatments. Interestingly, the first studies on the medical use of cannabis go back as early as 2700 BC in China. The first documented study on using cannabis, medical marijuana for seizure or seizure disorder was in 1843 in India. Meaning this isn't a new thing. I mean, it's been studied for thousands of years. Been documented for use of seizure disorders, 150, almost 200 years ago. Yet now we're finally discovering it. Medical marijuana works for seizures by binding a couple of different receptors called CB1, CB2, which are widely distributed throughout the body within the nervous system. The specific part of the medical marijuana plant that appears to be most effective for seizures is called CBD, or cannabidiol. But what makes it really important is it's the non-psychoactive portion, so it's not the effect of what we will see with THC. And this is so applicable for our animals because we're able to then actually use a component of the marijuana plant which is non-psychoactive. It's not going to give them adverse effects, but can be really beneficial for stopping those seizures. A big key point that needs to be emphasized is up to 30% of our animals, up to 30% of people do not respond adequately to conventional anticonvulsant drugs. So it's huge in terms of trying to find something that is going to stop these seizures, stop the seizure activity, that is safe, that is effective, affordable, widely available to all of us. There are a number of studies now showing the benefits of CBD, the effectiveness of CBD for epilepsy and seizure control in people. CSU, Colorado State, is currently performing studies on dogs with epilepsy to test the effectiveness of CBD. In one paper titled Cannabinoids in the Treatment of Epilepsy, Hard Evidence at Last, the conclusion of the authors is that they're really close to having documented, scientifically valid, where the researchers actually happy with this level of study to show that these CBD, cannabidiol in particular, is effective for some of these serious seizure disorders that are so difficult to regulate with people. The big thing about this study though is they were using really high doses, 20 milligrams per kilo per day of CBD. So that would equate with something like little Tuli here, getting 200 milligrams of CBD based on her weight daily. And we're talking about standard doses of her getting 2 milligrams. So that's like, what is that? 10 times the dose. So the last paper I read, and it was published just a few months ago, documented that relatively low dose of CBD were shown to be effective in reducing seizure frequency. This is done in people once again. And by low doses, I mean they were giving these people 10 milligrams a day, which is, a teeny amount. We're talking a tenth of that original, 20 mg per kilo dose that I just discussed earlier. So then you're left with wondering, what is a dose? How would I dose my dog? How would I dose my cat? First, you're going to be discussing this with your veterinarian. Secondly, basing that success on treating, people with 10 milligrams a day of CBD, I'd be going back to the relatively low dose of 1 milligram of CBD per 10 pounds of body weight daily as a starting point. Potentially looking at, upping that as needed. So with little Tula, she would be getting, and here's an example of a CBD tincture where it's 300 milligrams of CBD and 30 mils. So 1 mil, which is one full dropper full here, that contains 10 milligrams of CBD. Little Tula, she would be getting 0.1 of a mil. And some of the tinctures are going to be graded, some not. That would be right there. She'd be getting 0.1 mil of a dropper full twice daily. And that would give her 2 milligrams a day of CBD, which would be her measured dose. And I would potentially up that by 2 or 3 times if she wasn't responding with adequate seizure control. When you want to make sure that it is just CBD, you don't need any THC or any of the other cannabinoids present. So just CBD or cannabidiol. And as I said, we're looking at doses of 1 milligram per 10 pounds of body weight. We can start that once daily, then up that as needed. Thirdly, too, in terms of, knowing what is the ideal dose, we don't know for sure, and no one does. This is just being studied now. It's brand new. What I do know is that there's a number of pet owners are getting some really good success and really good seizure control using CBD. 2, we're not seeing any serious secondary side effects. 3, we're knowing, up to 30% of dogs aren't responding to these anticonvulsant drugs. So it's kind of like this great option, no question. If little Tula here, if she were to have epilepsy, it would be like the first thing I would get her on, CBD. But not just Tula, Murray too, with our cats. Once again, I would have him on CBD based on his weight of just over 10 pounds. He's actually probably closer to Tula's weight. But I would start him on, he would start on 1 milligram a day. And I would probably do that in divided doses and then up that as needed. What I did find in veterinary practice, we didn't have many cats that seizured, but it was often difficult to control their seizuring. So once again, another really good option, for our dogs, but also for our cats. So thanks you guys. I hope you found this video helpful, a little bit more informative. You have a bit more clarity around using CBD for seizure control in our dogs and cats. If you have yet to do so, I'd love for you to click up there to subscribe, click down there to like this video, and lastly, when you click the link further in the box below, I can send you my free books and my free videos on how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies.